What's up, guys? This is Carson Thinks Ball, my second channel where everything is unedited and unscripted, and I give my raw reactions to games that just transpired. So what I just watched was the Golden State Warriors game 1 of their series versus the Houston Rockets, and this was a really good game. Out of every game we've seen in the playoffs so far, maybe outside of that Clippers-Nuggets game, this was probably my favorite game to watch. Not because it was a bunch of crazy offense happening, but because it was just gritty, good, defensive playoff basketball. This game was really good. I think I'm probably going to make a video about it on my main channel, so I hope you subscribe so you can go watch that. But this was honestly a chess match between the two coaches. It was really incredible to watch. There's a lot of star power. There's a lot of different lineups that were utilized. One thing that super impressed me a lot was the Houston Rockets double big lineup. We've seen this throughout the season where it's Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun together on the floor together, and it makes it really hard for teams to deal with. And that was magnified against this game during the Warriors because the Warriors don't really have the size to combat in that. To start the game, the Rockets didn't use the double big. They just started with Sengun out there. But the moment Quentin Post checked in for the Warriors, I think Ime Udoka knew, okay, Sengun's not going to be able to guard him, especially because Post has an outside shot. So he put a quick-footed Steven Adams on the floor, and this changed everything. Little spoiler alert, the Rockets lost this game by 10, and the only person on the Rockets team to have a positive plus-minus this game was Steven Adams, which was a +4, and he only scored 6 points, but the reason was he had 12 rebounds, 5 of which were offensive. The offensive rebounding from this Rockets team was incredible, and a part of that is kind of the reason they didn't win. Not the offensive rebounding, but the personnel that was put out there to do the offensive rebounding, because there was a point where it was, I might get this wrong, it was like Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Sengun, and Steven Adams out on the floor. Their shortest player out there was Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson is, let me check, Amen Thompson is 6'7", okay? And he was the shortest player out there. So they were going super big, and obviously the Warriors are not a super big team. You know, they're playing a lot of minutes to Gary Payton, to Steph Curry. Santos got some minutes in this game, Podziemski. They're not a big team, and obviously this contributed to the offensive rebounding a lot. But the problem with this huge lineup is that the only points you're getting with that lineup are from those rebounds. Second chance points, the Rockets had 22 this game to the Warriors 12. Offensive rebounds, they had 22 offensive rebounds to the Warriors 6. The dribble penetration was just almost non-existent for this team. That big lineup I mentioned, they only scored like 1 or 2 buckets with that whole lineup on the floor because the shot creation just wasn't there. Obviously, Amen Thompson is a great shot creator, and there's some play finishers there. Sengun can make his own shot, but it was so hard for Sengun to get into his spot when the paint is packed, because when you have Steven Adams on the floor, he's not a shooting threat. You can pack the paint, and Sengun's not a guy who's going to create his own shot on the perimeter. He does that with post touches. And Amen Thompson, he can create shots, and he's probably he's easily the most athletic person out there. But the defense from the Warriors, the perimeter defense was super incredible. Gary Payton Jr. did a lot. Draymond Green, great defense. I know a lot of people on Twitter are probably going to clown him for the defense today, but any defense that he played outside of guarding a post-touch Sengun was incredible. The problem was a lot of touches for the Rockets were Sengun post-ups because, you know, they kept getting offensive rebounds and they throw it right to Sengun in the paint, and he kept backing down Draymond Green over and over again. Draymond Green couldn't really do much. He had like 2 possessions where he actually stopped Sengun from doing anything. Most of the Draymond Green defensive highlights, he had 3 steals and a block, was him either predicting what Sengun was going to do, passing to somebody else, or just hustling, just anything, you know, obviously the Draymond Green stuff. And it was a little interesting because Draymond Green is touted as like the best small ball center defender kind of guy. Like when you run a small ball lineup and Draymond Green's at the center, he can guard anybody taller than him. He plays a lot bigger than he is. But when he was guarding Sengun in the post, it didn't go that well, but his defense was great everywhere else. Steph Curry started the game a bit slow. He didn't really make I don't think he made a 3 in the first quarter. Let me check. He didn't make a 3 in the first quarter, but after that, it was lights out for Curry. With Steph Curry, we know what he's been doing for years, and I watch him play all the time, but some of the shots he still hits is like, in my head, I'm like, that has to be luck. But you know it's not luck because it's Stephen Curry. And he had like 2 or 3 like buzzer counting down, you know, shot clock almost winding down. And he's like running out of bounds and he turns around and fades and hits it without like looking. Like he just puts it up. And it was nuts to watch. Jimmy Butler, insane game from him. He got to the line a lot for a playoff game at least. 25 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. His defense better than Draymond's, and Draymond's supposed to be the defensive player of the year guy. Jimmy Butler was so good for this team. He did everything right. He was, it was awesome. Podziemski struggled a bit tonight. You know, Gary Payton, he defended very well. The rest of the lineup was kind of not really impactful, but it was really just, you know, the big 3 of Draymond, Curry, and Jimmy Butler doing a lot to help this team out. On the Rockets side of the ball, it was really just a Sengun show. He had 26 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals on very good efficiency. But the problem was they had, well, let me check. The Rockets had 3 other guys in double figures, which sounds like a lot. But those double figures were Dylan Brooks with 11 points, Fred VanVleet with 10 points, and Jabari Smith Jr. with 11 points. So Amen Thompson had 8 points. Jalen Green had 7 points. He was 3 for 15. Jalen Green did not have a very good basketball game. Jabari Smith Jr., he shot well. He had 4 turnovers, but he shot really well. I think he was pretty impactful. Down the stretch, he seemed to be pretty impactful. He played good basketball near the end. A lot of this game was, the first quarter was Houston, all Houston. But then the second and third quarter was the Warriors doing what everybody thought the Warriors were going to do coming into this series. And then the fourth quarter, the Rockets started to make it a thing. They started to make a run. I think, yeah, they went on a 30-10 run at one point. The Rockets really made this a game, but it just wasn't enough. It was too little too late. And again, that double big lineup with Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun, the rebounding was incredible. There were so many offensive rebounds. And like I said, Steven Adams had the only positive plus minus. But the issue with having those guys on the floor is when Sengun's whole bread and butter is posting someone down, having Steven Adams on the floor kind of negates that, because he also brings his other defender into the paint, because it's not like the defender's going to go follow Steven Adams out on the perimeter because they don't need to. That was really interesting to watch. I think the series is going to be a big chess match between lineups. There's a lot of different lineups utilized tonight. There's a lot of great defense. Tari Eason played great defense. You know, it was both sides played great defense. I can't even like single anybody out right now. Fred VanVleet played solid defense. Fred VanVleet always surprises me. Like, I forget he's like a very good defender. All in all, Sengun, incredible, but everybody else needs to step up. Amen Thompson had some open looks that he was smoking. This is his first playoff game, so I'm not going to fry him for it. You know, you want to see better shot making from Fred VanVleet, 2 for 13 from 3, 4 for 19 from the field. You know, he passed the ball well. He had that vet presence. He was hustling. You know, he's getting on the ground. He was jump balling. But he didn't shoot the ball well. Steven Adams obviously played very well. Tari Eason, 3 for 10 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. You want your other guys to step up, but it was so hard because the Warriors' perimeter defense was so incredible, and it was so hard to dribble drive. It felt like anytime the ball was like in front of the 3-point line, like actually getting near the paint for the Rockets, was from passes and, you know, post touches and stuff, because nobody could dribble the ball past the 3-point line. They would just wall up so hard and not let you get around them. You know, sometimes they call, like, you know, petty fouls, but for the most part, it's the playoffs, so they're not going to call that stuff. The Warriors kind of had a turnover problem at one point. They went on like a hot streak of turning the ball over and over again, but the Rockets had more turnovers by the end of the game. You want to clean that up a little bit. Also, the Rockets were 55% from the free throw line. They were 11 for 20. And when you're getting 20 free throws in a playoff game, which is very rare, you want to make those free throws because you don't have the opportunity to get that many shots at the line. But I mean, it's not like I can sit here and give criticisms on what they can do better at the free throw line. It's you make them or you don't make them. But I mean, I like the aggression that led them to get there. All in all, the offense was rough at some points to watch, or at least it's going to look like that in the box score. But I thought this was just a great, gritty defensive game. I'm going to look back, watch this game over, look at more of the rotations, and probably upload a video on my main channel. So subscribe to Carson Knows Ball for that, and subscribe to Carson Thinks Ball for more playoff content like this. I hope you have a good one. Peace.